Hey family, I'm PT, Pastor Touré Roberts, and the lead pastor of the Potter's House at 1LA in Denver. And on behalf of my wife, Pastor Sarah, and myself, we want to welcome you to our channel and to this word. I cannot wait for you to hear what God has for you in this message. I want to tell you a few things really quickly. Subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, subscribe so that you can be made aware of all of the word that's coming at you week in and week out. And also turn on your notifications so you don't miss a morsel that comes forth. We're also grateful for you and your partnership. If you are so compelled, we invite you to support what we're doing, not just our church, but what our church is doing. There are a number of outreaches, a number of things, critical, necessary things that we support, and we're able to do it because of your generosity. So without further ado, let's get right into this word. God bless you. I'll see you soon.
God gave me 3 words for you. 3 words. And if all I do is say these 3 words and we pray and you catch it in your spirit right, we'll be good. 3 words. Slay your giant. Slay your giant. I think in life, I think we get distracted. We want the rewards of a slain giant before we slay the giant. We want the recognition. We want the increase. We want the prosperity. We want what's on the other side of the kill before the kill. Oh God, oh God, oh God. We're gonna go to the word in just a second, but there's this quote that I just put. It was actually on. I just want you. I know not the Instagram thing, but there's a quote. There's a quote, and I just. It's about giants. It's a quote. It's a quote. You see it? Read it to yourself. Find your giant, and you'll find your doorway to promotions and destiny. See, we want promotions and destiny. Come on, somebody. We want to blow up without killing something. We want respect. People won't respect you unless you kill. Dexter, we get mad when life doesn't treat us like a rock star when we don't have any dead Goliaths. There's certain things that only happen when you slay your giant. Whew. 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 And we get distracted. And I said slay your giant. I didn't say slay what you want your giant to be. I didn't, because you don't get to choose your giant. You just look up and you're standing face to face with it. Are you tracking with me? And sometimes we don't want to deal with, I feel the Lord. We don't want to deal with our giant because our giant isn't sexy. You think Goliath was sexy? Goliath, if you study it, this dude was scary, like hella scary. He was huge. His weapons were huge. He was strong. He was like, it was scary. It was not sexy. And sometimes there's a giant that God wants us to kill. And we avoid that giant because we would rather have a different giant. I'm going to show you something else, and I'm getting to where I promise. I'm going to show you something I put on Instagram the other day, even as it relates to our desire for respect. And just read that for a second. When your work commands respect, you'll never need to demand it. Then I put a little caption. Is a little caption there? No caption? Oh, that's a real little caption. Stop fighting for recognition. Oh, well, huh? Oh, there it is. All right, I'm going to let you read it. When your work commands respect, you'll never need to demand it. Stop fighting for recognition and accept it. Slay your giant, and the world will come running. I came to stir up some giant slayers tonight. You may be seated. Let's look at the Bible real quick. Stay with me, gentlemen, or yes, just for a second. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 17. I want you to see something. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem. But he put his arm in his tent. And when Saul saw David going out against the Philistine, he said to Abner, the commander of the army, Abner, whose son is this youth? David was obscure. No one knew him. He was seemingly insignificant. But all of a sudden, he slays his giant. And now the king is looking for him. I feel like there's some people in here right now, and you feel insignificant, and you feel like nobody sees you. I feel the Lord. You feel like nobody sees you. You feel like so small. You know, you go in some places, you know, you got like 4 followers on Instagram. Your sister, your cousin, and a spam. I mean, like, seriously, David had no reputation. He had no influence. He was insignificant, but he was serving. He had a great heart. He was serving his father, and he did have some victories in his background, but nobody knew him. He was so insignificant that when God sent the prophet Samuel to his father Jesse's house to anoint the next king of Israel, he doesn't even get brought out. He is totally off the radar. Anybody off the radar right now? You came here to get on the radar, but you are so far off the radar, you didn't even know there was a radar. This is where he was. And now all of a sudden, this moment arises. A moment that he didn't create. A moment that he found himself in. Where he is now facing the giant of his moment. He slays that giant and everything changes. Pause. I want you to take a minute and think about what giant is in your life that you've been avoiding. What giant has been in your family's life? I feel the Lord. There's a whole new respect coming to you. There's a whole new, people are going to seek you out because you killed something. When Saul saw David going out against the Philistine, he said to Abner, the commander of the army, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner says, as your soul lives, O king, I do not know. That's how obscure he was. He kills a giant, they still don't know who he is. So the king said, inquire whose son this young man is. And then as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. I love it because if we go back real quick, I almost missed it, but go back to the first, I think it's verse 54. I just want you to see it real quick and we'll talk. When we pray, we'll be out. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. There was a shift in what he needed. His armor was to win the battle. But when the battle was won, he didn't need the armor anymore. He needed the head of his conquest. Are you tracking with me? That's what God's going to do. I want to say this right. God is getting ready to give you a powerful conquest, and that conquest is going to be your calling card. It's going to be something that you killed, something that you overcame, something that you fought through, something that you put under your foot. That's your calling card. That's your next. That's what's going to do it. Stop running from the thing that God has anointed to promote you. The thing you're afraid of. The thing that seems so huge is going to be the thing that you kill, and you're going to be walking around, and that thing is going to bring you favor because you killed something that no one else could. I was driving in today, and I was thinking about giants and slaying giants, and how if you look at this story with David, no one could kill Goliath. You say, no, they were just afraid. Well, it doesn't matter why they couldn't kill him. Nobody could kill Goliath because Goliath was David's. Are you tracking with me? And there's some things in our world right now that seem impossible. And they are impossible without you. Because there's certain things that God has anointed you to do, and nobody else can do it because it's part of his promotional track for your life. He puts his armor in the tent, and now he's walking around with this thing. Man, I feel that right there for somebody. What does God want you to cut the head off? If you can just cut the head off of this thing, favor, grace, they're going to come looking for you. You're not going to have to go out handing out your business card and handing out your tape and handing out your reel and you're not going to have to do any of that. You killed something for God. Oh! You killed something for God. You weren't afraid. You went after it. You went into that crazy neighborhood. You went and you did that thing that you were afraid of because you knew on the other side of it, it would bless some people. I was thinking about my life. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, like, this is not supposed to be happening. Young people, for the most part, you know, I'm probably older than most of y'all. But for the most part, predominantly young people in Hollywood, at church, worshiping Jesus. See, you're in it. It just seems normal because you're in it and you've been in it. I get people from all around the world saying, will you please tell me how you did it? It is impossible in so many places. This is a rarity. Excuse me. And they say, well, if you're doing it, you must not be talking about Jesus. So they have all these suspicions and they come in like, wait. You're talking about Jesus. You got a bunch of young people. And this is LA. This is not like, you know, up in the boonies somewhere where you ain't got nothing to do anywhere. You can be anywhere, right? You can be Wakanda forever. You can be like you can be anywhere. The beach. Thursday night is a hot club night. And I have pastors literally from all around the world reaching out saying, how did you do that? What is your name? Teach me. And to be honest with you, I didn't seek it out. It just showed up. And I wasn't afraid of it. And I killed it. And I cut its head off. And I fought for it. And I covered it. And I prayed. When it was small, when it was tiny, I want to give you 3 things to keep you slay ready. 3 things to keep you sleigh ready. If you're sleigh ready, you ain't got to get ready. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist it. The first thing is keep track of your kills. Keep track of your kills. Everybody in there right now, if you look in your history, you got some kills. David had, before this, what did he have? He had the lion and the bear. He had a giant. You've got giants. You've overcome some stuff. If you're attracted to this ministry, it's because you're an overcomer. That's the only reason why we're connected, is because there's a fight in you. And you may not be loud, and you may not be, but there's a fight in you, and there's still more fight in you. And you're the type of person, you've been tried and you've not denied, and you're ready to be tried again. There's something on the inside of you that says, you know what, I'm going to get everything that God has for me. And it's crazy. It doesn't make sense. It's weird. But you're like, you know what, I'm going to show up, and I'm going to keep showing up, because if it's got my name on it, it belongs to me. You've got kills in your history. There's someone in here right now, I feel it prophetically, and you have a mountain in front of you. You have a huge mountain. It could be a work mountain. It could be a school mountain. But you have a huge mountain in front of you. And I want to take you into your future. It's going to be behind you. It's getting ready to be in your rear view. You're an overcomer. That's what we do. We overcome stuff. And I feel it's on you right now. And if you would just take a minute, and if you would look back and see the consistency of God to bring you out and to bring you through, you will realize and recognize that this too shall pass. Who would we be if we would live in the consciousness of, and this too will pass? Like, what would our life look like? You know how we get anxious, there's anxiety, and we get all, we worked up and stuff like that. And for some reason, we think that this one is going to get us. The last 25 couldn't. God brought us through the last 25 challenges and seasons. But for some reason, number 26, all of a sudden, is going to discredit God and discredit the history. It doesn't even make sense. It's not even logical anymore. Where are my people where God has he just brought you through some crazy things? You got to keep track. You got to keep track of your kills. Number 2, you have to serve in the seasons between giants. Oh, I feel the Lord. Because once you slay one giant, I'm going to be honest with you. David slayed Goliath. Goliath got him into favor with Saul's family and Saul's house, got him in position, also got him in trouble. Got to study the story. It's kind of crazy. And he had to run out now, and then when he ran out, there were 400 men that went with him, and they weren't necessarily honorable men. These cats were troubled and distressed or whatever, but he learned leadership. And he learned, and he developed this loyalty. In fact, that 400 later on would be his mighty men. It was all a setup for him taking the whole kingdom. And he had battles. What's crazy is the giant, when he slayed Goliath, and that brought him into favor with Saul, that favor turned into something else. So Saul became the giant led him to Saul, then Saul became his next giant. And he had to operate and function and overcome that giant in a different way. He couldn't kill Saul. Ooh, what do you do when you can't kill your enemy? I better clarify that, because some of you like... Can we make it a metaphor? What do you do when you have to use wisdom and skill and spiritual sensitivity to navigate a difficult circumstance so that you don't squander your inheritance? It's grown-up stuff. What do you do when you want to cuss them out, but you can't? I'm sorry. But you can't. Because they're in your life to develop you and to produce Christ-like characteristics, to help you to be patient and to subdue, to have self-control, to have inner dominion. Sometimes that's the giant. So you don't, I'll be honest with you, there will always be giants. And in between those giants, you serve. You just keep serving. Wow. From level to level, man, I've had a crazy life. And it's literally been from level to level. And sometimes, man, I've slayed a Goliath, and I walk around with the head, and it was great for a season, and then I try to pull that same head out, and it don't open no doors. And there's some people in this room right now, and you walking around with an old Goliath head, and it ain't working no more. Because there's something else you got to kill. And sometimes the space in between kills is a space of service. God, I'm serving you. Let me humble myself and serve you. Let me go serve somebody that just slayed their Goliath. And let me learn from them. The space in between giants is the space of service. And number 3, this is something you got to remember. Anytime you face a giant, you got to remember that it's your giant. What does that mean? That's very, very encouraging, because God will not bring any giant into your life that he has not pre-qualified you to kill. Are you tracking with me? It's your giant. Goliath was David's giant. That's why everybody was afraid. Surely somebody in the camp had some courage. Not everyone was a wimp. It wasn't their giant. It was David's. And he knew it. And he understood that was his giant. And since it was his giant, he could not fail. To stay slay ready is to know that if it's in front of me, I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. Just those 3 words I heard for you. Slay your giant. Don't look at nobody else's life. Don't focus on anybody else's lane. Because I'm telling you, you got enough to work with the giant that's in front of you. I want you to think about, we're going to pray in just a second. I want you to think about, and I want you to write this down. I want you to think, and you write down the thought that comes to you. What giant are you called to slay right now? There's some in this room right now, and God has given you something, and the giant was so big, you have left it alone. You have left it alone. Oh, I feel the Lord. You've left it alone. It's in the recesses of your mind. You are so far removed from this giant that you don't even think about it anymore. But I want God to reach right back into your spirit, because when he gave you that word, it's in your spirit. I want him to reach back into your spirit and pull that to the forefront of your remembrance, because what you are after, what you are longing for, is on the other side of it. What's your giant? Write it down. It's a covenant between you and God today. What did God speak to you today? What did your heart hear when he told you to slay your giant? Wow, I feel the Lord. There's some people, and I want you to stand up. That you're right now, you are in your own battle of Elah, facing a giant. You're right there in the valley, facing it. I want you to stand up. I'm going to pray for you. You're right there in the valley of Elah. Ooh. Slay your giant. Oh, it's all y'all? And hear me when I say, when he said those 3 words, we're going to play real soft. I just want to prophesy and pray. We're going to be done. When he said those 3 words, it wasn't like you're going to have to drum up your own strength and slay your giant. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was different. It was like you've already won. Just go win. Just go win. I've already gone ahead of you. See, you know why? You know why I didn't talk about the 5 smooth stones and the slingshot and all? You know why? Because it didn't matter. He could have said, boo, and Goliath would have fell. Because he was anointed to win. And that's great. We got wonderful sermons. 5 is the number of grace and all that kind of stuff. Whatever. It's yours for the taking. But you have to have the right mentality. Slay your giant. If it takes everything that you have, if you have to fight it with everything that you possess, slay your giant, because there's something on the other side of it. And when you slay your giant, resources are going to come running. The universe, that's everything that God has created. I don't call the universe God. I call the universe everything that God has created. The universe won't even respect you until you kill something. Ooh. What do you do when you've been created to win, so your identity is victory, but you live in defeat? That's a big problem. See, everything that God created, the universe, everything that God created, knows who you are and how you are supposed to function. The universe knows that your true identity is victory, and that the only reason why you are here is because you were put on this earth to kill giants in the name of the Lord. And so when you don't live in that function, and you don't live in that anointing, and you don't live in that grace, it's like you don't exist. And the universe cannot produce what God has placed in it on your behalf. David was completely anonymous until he did what victors do. And then all of a sudden, everybody's looking for him. I feel that. I'm trying to say it the way I see it. Some of you right now feel like you're just a lone wolf in this city. You're just out here. You feel special, but nothing is acknowledging that special. Slay your giant. Slay your giant. Stop trying to impress men and slay your giant. What has God called you to do?